Okay, this is how you rewrite history. We all know Donkey Kong, these levels should all look very familiar to any gamer. In this version, however, once you finally reach the end and prepare to live happily ever after... Uh-oh, DK doesn't take this stuff anymore in 1994. Mario's quest to save Pauline is going to be much bigger this time. For the next 96 levels, Mario has to jump his way to victory against the giant ape in a game that seamlessly blends the platform and puzzle genres. I wonder what it was that made Nintendo decide to resurrect Donkey Kong in 1994. What you need to remember was that Donkey Kong was a non-entity at this time. DK Jr.'s edition in Mario Kart was seen as slightly strange, but apart from that he hadn't really been seen in years. Then suddenly he reappears with a new red tie and a new attitude. A few months later, of course, Rare's Donkey Kong Country would revolutionise 16-bit graphics, and DK would go on to become one of Nintendo's biggest superstars, but this Game Boy game was his first appearance after a very long rest. As you can see, this game actually has some colour in it. That's because Donkey Kong was the first game to take advantage of the Super Game Boy adapter. You plug it into your Super Nintendo and you can play Game Boy games in colour. So in this game, Mario can pluck things up from beneath him, just like in Super Mario Bros. 2. He's also got a couple of new moves, like swinging from clotheslines and doing handstands. Little Mario controls very well, but there's still a lot of times I was cursing his rotten movement. Yep, some of the levels can get pretty challenging. This is a game where you had to use your brain and your Twitch platforming skills. Lives are very easy to come by, but you need them. Most levels basically require Mario to find a key and carry it to the exit, and every 4 levels he faces off against the Donkster himself, with the damsel Pauline standing there waiting to be saved. Useless. This game was given a sequel 10 years later on the Game Boy Advance as well. Mario vs Donkey Kong was another excellent game, but it also gets brutally difficult in the later stages. Donkey Kong 94 is the perfect kind of game for a handheld console. The levels are fairly short and self-contained, it's challenging and puzzly, it controls well, and it's good, clean fun. The graphics haven't aged that well, but the gameplay's still there. Modern audiences would definitely prefer the more recent game, but as far as I'm concerned, this one still stands the test of time. From Mario World in July 1992 through to Terranigma in December 1996, Stunt Race FX sits pretty much right in the middle of the Super Nintendo's life. 2011 might be almost over, but I've still got a lot of gaming to do. Stunt Race was the second game to use the FX chip for pushing polygons. The chip had been upgraded since Starwing though. Stunt Race uses the Super FX2 chip, which means more polygons on screen and more texturing. The clever eye will notice though, Stunt Race FX View takes up only a percentage of the entire screen, especially in 2-player mode. So this is clearly a case where the concepts were ahead of the technology. Still, it's good that companies were feeling free to experiment. I suppose by this time Sega had Virtua Racing in the arcades, which was a smash hit, so Nintendo wanted to make its own version. And in true Nintendo fashion, this game has a lot of personality. These aren't cars you're racing, they're characters. There's the big beefy 4-wheel drive, the cute sporty little coupe, the racing F1 champ, and if you manage to complete all 3 cups you unlock the motorbike, which is super fast but turns really sharply. The controls definitely take a lot of getting used to. It feels very different to Mario Kart. The handling on all the cars feels strangely loose, and the low frame rate doesn't really help things. One of the keys to success in Stunt Race FX is effective use of your boost. You've only got a limited amount to use, but you can replenish half the bar by driving over a blue crystal, so you've got to find the best places on the track to use the boost and try not to run out if you want to win. You're primarily racing against the clock. If you don't make it to the next checkpoint in time, your game's over. I'll be honest, I didn't think this game was going to have aged very well at all. Even at the time it was released, I enjoyed it, but I found it a bit difficult to play. But you know what? It's not too bad. The graphics that wowed everyone back in '94 are laughable now, but there's still a fun racing game in here. It's no Mario Kart, that's for sure, but I enjoyed it more than F-Zero. Every now and again you get those cute little Miyamoto Easter eggs, like on the Night Cruise track where an R-Wing will suddenly appear and drop you a health crystal. Aside from the aforementioned 2-player game, there's also Stunt Tracks mode, which puts you in an arena and gives you a time limit to collect all of the stars. This mode's actually pretty cool, if a bit unforgiving if you happen to miss just one star. Quit, restart. Oh, I've done that just a couple of times over the years. The other type of driving is in the bonus level where you drive the truck. This is hard. Very hard. I don't think I've ever got the hang of it. This game convinced me back in 1994 that I should never be a truck driver. Look, I don't think new players would find Stunt Race FX very impressive in 2011, but I had a bit of fun with it, so I'll say it sits. Look at that! Blood! On the Super Nintendo! After the backlash from Mortal Kombat 1's lack of red, Nintendo's stance on censorship relaxed a lot by the time the sequel came around. One look and it's easy to see that the graphics and gameplay of Mortal Kombat 2 are much improved from the first game. I still don't get it though. I've looked at multiple guides with instructions on how to do all of the moves, but I'll try over and over again, and so many moves, the finishing moves in particular, simply do not work for me. It's very annoying. Something as simple as back, down, up, block, or something like that requires absolute perfect precision timing to register, and I get too easily fed up trying to make it work. I don't have to work so hard just to do a simple move in Street Fighter. Most of the cast of the first game have returned, and there's some new faces as well. As before, they're all captured from live actors. I wonder where those actors are now. Surely they've gone on to win Academy Awards and stuff. Surely. In addition to fatalities, Mortal Kombat 2 also includes babalities, which you could turn your opponent into a baby, and friendship finishes. Bizarre. Funnily enough, the version I remember playing most in the 90s was the Game Boy version, which a friend of mine owned. We'd play it on the bus to and from school for weeks. It's really not that good, though I suppose it's about as good as a Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat could get. Anyway, back to the Super Nintendo one. It was a massive step up from the first port, but there are a few things that still hold it back in my mind. For one, they kept the block button, which to me would have been the first thing to go. There's also no button to pause, which is infuriating if you want to quickly check a move or something. And that's not to mention that every character in the Mortal Kombat universe has exactly the same weight and speed, so the only thing really separating them is their special moves. There is no doubt that Mortal Kombat 2 was an improvement, but it's still not anywhere near as fun or accessible as something like Street Fighter is. It sits.
Maria wins. Fatality.
To all intents and purposes, this is Sonic 4, or 5 if you include Sonic CD, but it's considered the second half of Sonic 3, so Sonic 3.5 if you like. Of course, the main drawcard of Sonic & Knuckles was its lock-on cartridge. Now, I never actually owned a Mega Drive, so I can't show you this. I play my Sonic games from the Mega Collection, but the concept was by clicking your Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 carts into Sonic & Knuckles, you could unlock stuff in the old games you never knew was there. I'm not going to go into all of that. This week I'm just playing Sonic & Knuckles on its own. So now you can actually play as Knuckles. He's a bit slower than Sonic, but he has these cool gliding and climbing moves, which allow him to access other areas of the level that Sonic wouldn't be able to reach. I reckon this is the toughest Sonic game yet. There's some points in the games that actually have moderate puzzle elements, like, move the block onto the switch to open the gate, that kind of thing. Other than that, the levels are just more devious, and if you're like me, you'll lose a few lives playing through Sonic & Knuckles. I'm not sure if the levels are bigger than they were in Sonic 3, but they sure feel bigger. Some of them almost feel too big. The game starts off in Mushroom Hill Zone, which is a big forest with lots of mushrooms. No big surprises there. Next is the Flying Battery Zone, which reminds me of the last world of Sonic 2, and it's a bit strange to have it so early on in the game. Sandopolis Zone is the third area. This is where Sonic and Knuckles find themselves in the desert. The second act of this zone is inside a pyramid, and it's particularly huge and particularly tricky. Probably the most frustrated I've ever been in the Sonic series up to this point. After that is Lava Reef Zone. This area is set in some deep underground caves with flowing magma and a hidden palace. Then Robotnik steals a very big emerald and the Death Egg takes to the Sky Sanctuary Zone. This marks the end of the game for Knuckles, but there's a bit more to do if you're playing as Sonic. If Sonic manages to make it through the Sky Sanctuary, he ends up on the Death Egg itself. All up, this game largely feels like an expansion of Sonic 3, which it pretty much is. The addition of Knuckles adds a couple of new gameplay twists, and the level design is quite good, but it's really just business as usual. This was the 8th Sonic the Hedgehog game released across 3 different systems within 4 years, and I think by this stage people were starting to feel just a little bit of hedgehog fatigue. But Sonic & Knuckles is pretty much as good as any of the other games, but my personal favourite is still Sonic 2. Next week I'm delving into an amazing fantasy quest in Secret of Mana. Look forward to revisiting this game. See you then. Peace out.